Hi and welcome to the 64 Doors. Today we're going to open door 61. Behind this door we find the archetype of the inspirer or the mystic. We often call it the gate of inner truth or the gate of mystery. When we look at the hexagram structure, we have 2 yang lines on the bottom and 2 yang lines on the top. And in the middle we have 2 yin lines. And that is what creates that window to the great mystery, to the inner truth. And we can see that there's the yin, the right brain, the creativity that is that portal, that window. It's not the left brain and the pressure to know that will create the true knowing. The spontaneous knowing in the 61 really comes spontaneously. It's the individual circuitry. It's very unique and spontaneous. When we look at the body graph, the 61 comes down from the head center and meets the harmonic gate, the 24 from the ajna. And they create the channel of awareness, the design of a thinker. And in the shadow frequency, we have the 24 that is addiction and the 61 that is psychosis. And we can see how these 2 shadows are very present in humanity right now and how they kind of go around and around, the pressure to know and figure out things, and then the addictions of like doing the same things although they don't work. We kind of go into these patterns. And we also know that 70% of the population has an open head center. And that is when we speak about the open centers, that's where the risk of conditioning and the pressure from the outside is bigger. So that we actually take in, so it's not only our own questions that we're trying to figure out. And even, the energy that can lead to patterns and addictions is also things that come in from the outside and they get filtered through us. So that's also why it's important to come back to our core stability, to our definition, and live from that centered place, so that we are less influenced by what's outside. When we look at these 2 gates in the higher frequencies, what the Gene Keys say is that we have invention and inspiration. So instead of having the same old patterns in the 24, we suddenly have the invention. We have new things coming through, and we have inspiration and creativity in the 61. And how does this happen? How does this shift happen? So with the Gene Keys, what we say is that we usually just need a pause and to become aware of what's going on. So when we pause, we can become aware of that pressure to like asking why and wanting to figure out and wanting to be sure and wanting to be certain that can come through that 61. And then we want to become aware of the patterns or the addictions in the 24. So maybe we're about to like eat that chocolate again or whatever it is, and then we catch ourselves in the moment and we can do something new and fresh. So through the pausing, we become aware and we can choose something different. And another way of using the 61 to tap into a higher frequency is to stop thinking, but we stop thinking in a way that instead of like trying to do it, we start concentrating on something creative and artistic. So it could be painting, it could be singing, it could be music, anything where the right side of the brain is more involved. And then often this pressure to like figure out something just stops and we're into a completely new brain pattern. So it's beautiful to really have something that we can use in order to tap into the genius of the 61. This is also a gate or hexagram that's connected to the pineal gland. So we can see that as we go into those creative states, that's part of also awakening the third eye and decalcifying the pineal gland. And there is really a direct connection. It has to do with this channeling, because we have the 61st gate that is in the middle of the head center, and it is the pineal gland, and it is like the portal to channel a knowing that is multidimensional, that is bigger than ourselves. That can't really be explained in a human logic way, but that is just there. So it can be, you could say it's occult, you could say it's shamanic, you could say it's multidimensional. It's really the light that can come through us when we open up the higher chakras, and then it really goes down in through the whole body graph or the whole pillar of individuation, depending on if we look at human design or the gene keys. And everything that puts you in silence or in creativity are good ways of tapping into the higher frequencies. So you could use silence, or you can use meditation, or anything that is creative, like we said, art, or also puts you more into a grounded state where your head is less active. All those things are very, very good for us to tap into the higher frequency of both gates. And we could say something about the programming partner, which is the 62, the shadow of intellect. So you can see how, again, we have this, it really tells us the 62 is also in the head center. And it tells us about how dangerous it is to only live from the mind, leaving out the rest of who we are. And in the higher frequencies, that 62 is really precise, and it even has to do with light. So you can see as well that light is something that comes through our head when it's not busy thinking all the time. And we're also going to give you some attunements so that you can tune into the higher frequencies of the 61. And there are going to be some affirmations as well, probably in the challenges. So I invite you to go on the website and look around. There's a lot of resources there to really tap into this 61 that is so amazing, and that is the doorway to so much wisdom and so much inspiration that is there for us whenever we we allow it, instead of running around in our addictions and psychosis. So thank you for today.